Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing good. Now today I've got a very special guest. I'm joined by a really big Arsenal fan, Shubham, and thank you so much for coming on my channel. Because I just always love hearing about people's Arsenal stories, and I always think it's an amazing thing. So thank you for coming on. How are you doing?
Very good, so thank you so much for inviting me to your channel. Have been a keen admirer of all the work you're doing. You have actually interviewed quite a lot of celebrities already, so you're doing really well. So yeah, uh, glad to be here.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your support as always, and I'm just really honoured to have you on here to chat about the club that we love. And I thought we could just start off before we talk a bit about Arsenal now. I thought we could go back and speak a bit about your journey. I'd love to just get to know you about how you became an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, absolutely. So I come from India, and
Yeah,
cricket is the major sport there. Um,
yeah,
Most people watch cricket, and I was a big cricket fan too. Never liked watching football because
mm,
I never understood the game. Why are 22 players behind a ball for a 90-minute game? And sometimes it also ends up nil-nil. So you
yeah,
have actually wasted almost 3 hours of your time. But then like many of my friends at that time during my young age, I started playing FIFA
yeah,
on the computer. And somehow FIFA would always give Arsenal as a default team. Okay, I used to play with Arsenal as my team. Started playing, and then the curiosity began. Right? I mean, you are watching these characters and these players playing on a computer game. How do they actually play game on the field? Right? Are they really this good, or are they just names on the screen? So the first match I think I watched was Arsenal versus Liverpool. It was very intense game, and I
yeah,
started following football from the year 2008, right? And then I started watching them. It was a great game. I think it ended up in a draw. It was a high scoring game. So from then on, I really started liking Liverpool and Arsenal as two football clubs, right? And then obviously you need to fall in love with one club, right? So
yeah,
I always have the tendency of rooting for the underdogs. So Arsenal was not that great in the game, but it came back from I
yeah,
think 2-0 down to 2-all. And from then on, just the style of Arsenal's play, I mean, players like Fabregas, Samin Nasri, Robin van Persie. Then we had the defense of Clichy, Kolo Toure. So everyone, I just liked people watching them play. We also had Danielson. So many people would say that, oh, he was not great. Abu Diaby. So all of these players, really, I just fell in love. Sometimes you just connect with
yeah.
a club. I liked how Arsene Wenger was managing the team. I have to be honest, I have not seen the greatest of years being an Arsenal fan since 2008, but hopefully Mikel Arteta is gonna get us those years very soon.
Yeah, I love that. I've heard, when I spoke to people, a lot of people do say FIFA, and I think that is pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah,
I think a lot of it, as well as me, I loved Arsenal because of how we played football. It was just so beautiful to watch, especially the Wenger years, like you said, Fabregas. I think for me, I really loved watching him. I think he was a very special player. But for you, out of all the players that you watched growing up, who would you say was your favourite?
my favorite until till today for Arsenal has always been Czech Fabregas, right?
Yeah,
I love a player who has an eye for that critical pass, who can
yeah,
open up defenses, and he had a great free kick in his right leg too, right? So he was our key midfielder, was the captain of the club too. Took on the responsibility at a young age, was very mature for the way he was playing in our central midfield. So yeah, till date, I don't think there has been any other favorite for me. He has been, and I know many people take it very personally when players leave to rival clubs, win things, and all of that. But I have never had that with Fabregas. I think for the time he has been in Arsenal, he has done great for us.
Yeah, I think he's one of those players that's when you speak about him, some fans really like him. Some fans, are not a big fan of the fact he
Yeah,
went to Chelsea. But I think with Fabregas, he'll always be a player that I admire and I like. I mean, he might still have that love for Chelsea, but I think Arsenal is his club that he always loved, and he
absolutely.
did want to come back to Arsenal, but obviously at the time he couldn't, and that was probably the only London club that he probably like he wouldn't really go to Spurs, so it was only the one that he would go to. So I think he's a really underrated player. I think there's so many to pick from, and I do love that. I mean, you mentioned before, obviously. You've not really seen a lot of the great times Arsenal at the league titles. Like
Yeah.
for me, I haven't either, and it's always amazing winning the FA Cups, but it's not quite a league title. But from your time, like supporting Arsenal, what would you say some of your favourite memories are?
Obviously, I mean, we play, every club plays football to win silverware, right?
Yeah,
So to be honest, as you mentioned there, I since I've started following football from 2008, I just missed out on glory years of Arsenal. I
yeah,
missed out on invincibles, and doubles and all of that which we won before that. But I think the FA Cups, all the victories which you've had in the FA Cups have been very sweet memories for me. Coming back and winning against Hull City, Santi Cazorla free kick, winning against Aston Villa. Um, Beating Chelsea and Manchester City to the final in the FA Cups. All those memories are great. And I think, to be honest, our recent best memories have been the recent ones which we have got under Mikel Arteta, the
yeah,
title challenge, right, for the last 2 years. That has been incredible. I never thought that we are a team which can challenge City, Liverpool, um, at such a quick rate, right? Mikel Arteta, I still think that Mikel Arteta is very new in the job. It still feels like he has just come into the club and started doing his magic. But yeah, the last 2 years have been great. I think some of the victories which we have had over Liverpool, City, have been tremendous. Really enjoyed them.
yeah. We've had some great memories as well, like you said, of Arteta winning that FA Cup. I think for me was really special, and I
Yeah.
think some of the matches we're watching under Arteta are just incredible memories. So I think it's amazing to see, how far we've come as well. And yeah, I think I always say, obviously, would love to see us win a league title, but I think at the
Yeah.
moment, FA Cups, I do love an FA Cup. I think next season as well is going to be interesting because I know we're competing for the league twice, and
Hmm.
this time round, I feel a lot more better about it. I feel like I'm more in a positive place about our future because I think the season before the last one, we fell like short. I think we might have been 5 points maybe behind Man City, and we
Yeah.
kind of gave up a bit towards the end. But this season, we really fought all the way to the end. So, for you, like regarding the season, it's been a while since the season's ended. How do you look back on it now?
Yeah, I would say I was very, very disappointed. You work so hard as a team. You're trying to tackle, you're trying to win every game that's on the calendar, but you come short, and that's very, very disappointing. But from the time Arteta has been here, again, when he joined, I didn't think it was the right move for him,
Yeah,
because I thought it was quite early as a manager, and after Wenger and after Emery, I really thought we needed someone with experience who knows how to manage a club which is kind of in a broken state, which needs a direction. But I think, hats off to Arteta. The last 2 years, especially, has been incredible. The way the even the board has backed him, I don't think many managers have got that. Uh, Backing from the board, the way he has been able to spend the money, the most of his transfers have been good, right?
yeah,
Uh, you can criticize the one or the other signing which has happened, but most of the signings have been good. They have contributed to the overall growth of the team. But yeah, disappointing. I remember Arsenal played Aston Villa, and it was my birthday. I couldn't watch it, and we lost the game. And I think that was the title changer for us, right? If we
yeah,
win that game, we would have been that momentum, and we could have won the league. But to be
yeah,
honest, on the positive, um, Arteta has given us hope, um,
mm,
and I didn't have that of winning a title, right?
yeah.
For now, the FA Cup, Carling Cup, all of these cups look secondary for Arsenal, and we are gunning for the Champions League and the Premier League titles. I think that's what Arteta has done. We are looking to win the bigger titles rather than looking at the smaller ones. So that's great.
Yeah, I think like you said, what he's done is given us this hope and belief because like a few seasons back when we were trying to get top four, I didn't ever I thought we were miles off challenging for the league
Yeah.
where we were, and in reality we weren't, and we didn't realize that. It was absolutely amazing to see us go to that next level. So I really hope next season, you know, like you say, I think the FA Cups, the League Cups are great, but I think the leagues and the Champions Leagues are kind of where the team would want to win that. I think the league's so
Yeah,
important. I mean, for you next season, what are you expecting from the team? Like, what do you expect we can win?
yeah. So, adding to your earlier question, I also feel that Arteta has brought that winning feeling back. So,
Yeah,
I, as a team, whenever I tune in to watch an Arsenal game now, I always feel we can win. If
yeah,
it's a City, I at least feel we can draw, and that's the hope and belief which I didn't have earlier. Winning Anfield away, I feel confident now. Winning City away, I feel confident, which I have been had having that feeling for the last 2 years. In terms of what I would like to see next year, so with trust comes performance pressure, right? I mean, when you're backed and when you're being given that time, right? It comes with responsibilities. So I think Arteta next year needs to get his hands on at least one of the major trophies,
yeah,
at least an FA Cup, a Premier League title, or Champions League, right? Because he has had 4 years in the club, he has had one FA Cup, right? So,
yeah,
and with so much money invested, he has got a good team now. What I'm looking forward to is a good transfer window, right? We don't have to sign a loads of players, right? We have the base there. We just need to sell few of the fringe players which we have at the club, kind of manage their wage bill,
yeah,
and then get in players and just fix the bench. I don't think we have the strongest bench in the league which can compete with City. So I just think we get the gaps filled, like the
mhm,
striker. We are looking at left backs and the central midfield, and maybe a backup for Saka, which we have all been crying for, right? He has
yeah,
been the lone right winger for the club for a long time, and we just need some players on the bench who can come off the bench and make an impact, just like a Trossard, or a
yeah,
Martinelli. So
yeah.
yeah, hoping that, and if we can win some major honor, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I do think next season we have to win something.
Absolutely, yeah,
I think as Arsenal fans we can see the progress, and I think rival fans will just see that we've won one FA Cup, a few Community Shields. But even though we see the progress, we've still got
yeah,
to back that up with the trophies. And I think as each season's going on, I think it's putting a bit of pressure on Arteta to win things, which obviously rightly so, because Arsenal should be, you know, competing and for titles and winning these competitions. And I think next season I do feel more confident that we will win the league, or we will come back with something. I think you can see how hungry the team were, how disappointed they
yeah,
were when we obviously didn't do it. And me and Odegaard as well, you could really feel for him as the captain as well, and he gave so much last season. And it is a tough one, isn't it, for the team, because I know they wanted it so much, and we were really that close. It is tough, but I do think next season, I think like you said, I think the summer transfer window is going to be interesting. I've said for me, I think having a striker, I'd really want us to go for that more than anything.
mhm,
But you do make a good point about a backup for Saka, because you do notice, you know, this season he is playing a lot, and I know he does want to play these games, but I think there comes a point, doesn't it, where he just needs a rest and he needs
yeah.
someone to compete with him a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, a striker is a must. I mean, most people will say that we have scored enough goals, but we have scored goals in chunks, right? We have
Yeah,
won 5-0, 6-0 against teams, right? So we have blown teams away, that's for sure. We have goals from most of the midfield and the wingers, which is great. So Trossard has scored a lot of goals for us. Odegaard, Havertz has chipped in with a couple of goals,
yeah,
and then we have always had Saka, right? But the clinical striker is what we are looking for, right? I love a couple of Premier League strikers whom we can actually go for. I really love Ollie Watkins. I know
yeah, me
he'll be
too.
yeah, he's a fantastic player. I think Evan Ferguson from Brighton. I think he's so good. I was just reading on Sky Sports that we are linked to Dominic Solanke. I don't think he will be
Yeah, that
well
was
suited for Arsenal. I think will be too big for him as a player. But yeah, You
That
have any thoughts on that?
yeah, that I was going to ask you about that as well because it didn't surprise me that his name was mentioned, but the
Yeah.
price surprised me. I think it was like 65 million, and I just wouldn't pay that much. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't bring him in for like I think I do like watching him at Bournemouth, and I think he's a great player, but I don't really think he would elevate this team. I think,
No.
like you mentioned with an Ollie Watkins, I see him
Yeah.
definitely improving us. Because obviously he loves Arsenal as well. I don't know if he's still an Arsenal fan, but I know growing up he used to be. And I just feel like he'd really improve us. I mean, with Solanke, I feel like the price for me was the surprise. Like, how do you feel about it? Because I was a bit surprised personally when I heard that news.
Yeah, Solanke might be an upgrade of Nketiah, whom we have as a
Mhm.
backup, but not a
Play,
real
yeah,
go-to person for me. But we are linked to Sesko though, who many of us haven't watched that much because he doesn't play in the Premier League, but he's coming at a price tag of 55 million. People saying that he's good aerially, he has a good shot with he can dribble well. Let's see. Again, we also have to trust Arteta on the moves which he's making. Now we don't know what's happening in the boardroom and what he's discussing things with Edu, right? So I
yeah,
need to trust him with his decisions. Many people were against the Kai Havertz signing. He kind of fixed that problem. Many people were not happy with the David Raya signing. He has won the Golden Glove. So yeah, he has made some crucial decisions which have worked for him. I just hope that he can make a good uh, quality uh, center forward signing, which we really
yeah,
need. A 20-25 goal per season striker, which is kind of difficult to get in today's market. Not many
yeah,
available. But we need someone, and I've heard that Arsenal are not looking for the big names. They're looking for someone who is on the trajectory and growing as a player. So
yeah.
Sesko might be the ideal fit, and let's see what he does in the Euros because Slovenia are in the mix, right? So
Yeah, I think as well, like it's good to have players that you might not have heard of and then they come
yeah.
over here and do really well. I think for me as well, I think it's good to have a mixture of like Premier League players. Like I think with Declan Rice,
Mhm.
I knew he would be a good signing because we'd
Yeah.
seen a lot of him for England in the Premier League. Like I mainly watched the Premier League, so I'd seen a lot of him already. So I knew that whatever amount of money we paid for him, that it was going to be a good signing. So it is always a risk bringing someone over from a different league because some players have come over, they adapt well, some players don't
Yeah.
adapt. It is a risk, but I think if you've watched a player enough with Arteta, you know what Tesco, and he's seen enough of him. Because I know a lot of fans do want him, and personally
Yeah.
for me, not seen a lot of him, but I do kind of trust in Arteta, and I do like feel like whoever they bring in, that I do have faith in them that they will work out at Arsenal. Like I feel like as fans, we've built that trust now. They've built that trust with us, so yeah, I'd be happy to have him. To be fair, I'm quite open to who we bring in the summer, really.
Yeah, and it's better to pay a decent amount of money for a player who is unknown but is still proven, right? He's still in the market. There are many clubs who are targeting him rather than paying over the odds for a player who might not bring in the results which you expected him
Yeah,
to be, right? So as you mentioned, Solanke, right? So yeah, I'll be all in for Sesko if Arteta thinks that he would be the ideal fit for us. I am all in. But we also need sales. Player sales is what I'm looking at because that would actually get an a lot of money for us. We have some good players who can actually be sold at a decent price. So yeah, let's see how it goes. It's
yeah.
going to be interesting.
I think the summer is going to be really good because I know, like you mentioned as well, like Eddie Nketiah as well. There's
Mhm.
so many players that I think we could get money for.
Yeah,
I reckon more players are going to leave than players. I think we're
yeah,
so close from like winning stuff now that we just need a few more additions. But regarding players that will leave, I know Smith Rowe's one that's everyone's a bit unsure about. I think a lot of
Mhm.
fans would like him to stay, but I think if the money came in, I think would you take it? I mean, I still don't know how to feel about that situation.
yeah. I would take it because see again. As much as we love Emil Smith Rowe, I think he was one of the key players for us in one of the seasons. I think it was the COVID hit season, which
Yeah,
in which he kind of saved us. He was so good. I was really calling out for him when he was kind of fit. but the manager was not playing him. But he came in and showed what he can do. But he
Yeah,
has been injury prone, and as much as we like him as a player, I think he himself deserves more game time. And
yeah,
any club in the Premier League, which like I saw Fulham were interested in him, right? So any club like that can really help him bolster his career, right? So Emil Smith Rowe, Nketiah, Reece Nelson. I know it's the England core, but we need to get rid of them because they need game time, and we need that money to spend it on player sales. And also, if you have to also look at one point that Arteta has taken this team to a different level now, and not many players are operating at that level, and he knows that, right? So he needs a specific profile and a level of player with the right attitude to go on achieve big things, because Arteta is looking at the top leagues right now, like he's looking at the Premier League and the Champions League. And if you're not cut out at that level, he's gonna sell you, right? And
yeah.
he's not afraid to take bold decisions. We have seen it with Aubameyang, we have seen it with Aaron Ramsdale. So he's a man of courage, I would say.
Yeah, I do agree with that as well. I think with Smith Rowe, I think it's obviously going to be sad if it's not ended the way we wanted
Yeah,
to. 'Cause I know he wanted to be a legend like Saka, like he wanted to leave a good legacy, and there's no saying that he can't come back. In a few years if he's had good game time. I know maybe you could loan him. I think the most important thing for him is getting that game time. I think if Arteta can't promise that, I think he should maybe open his options. I think we'll always, have that love and respect for him. But I just think, if we can get money for him as well, I think that's what we're going to do. I mean, another thing I saw online is that Arsenal wanted to get 50 million for Ramsdale, and I
mm,
saw that and I just thought 50 million to me is a lot of money for him. Like Ramsdale, when he was at his best at Arsenal, was amazing, and we all know
yeah.
that. But I just don't know. Do you think we can get 50 million? Like, I'm just not sure we can.
50 million would be a stretch for Ramsdale, right?
Yeah,
So we really need to be realistic in the market now. The other clubs are watching us. They are there. They know the situation clearly, right? So they have seen everything which has happened with the Raya Ramsdale situation. I think if we can get anything around 35 million for Ramsdale, that would be a great price, right? So
yeah,
I think he has not played for the last year. The Arteta doesn't even use him for the cup games sometimes, right? So really, so yeah, 50 million would be a massive stretch for Ramsdale. Anything
yeah,
around the region of 35 million, I would take it. I would take it definitely. And
yeah,
also just to mention that some players thrive at clubs which are suited for them. So
mhm,
we have seen examples like Nketiah doing very well at Leeds when he
yeah,
was on loan, and we have seen Andreas Pereira from Manchester United going to Fulham and having a great season, right? Even Willian, he didn't work for us, but he has been doing bits for Fulham.
yeah,
So yeah, sometimes you just have to change it up a bit. You might not be at your levels at a big club, and you might not have the game time which you actually deserve.
mhm.
You move on, and you can do great things for other clubs too. You know,
Yeah, I think like with Smith Rowe as well, you mentioned about Fulham. I think if he was at Fulham, I definitely think he would thrive there.
absolutely,
I
yeah,
think he would like when I saw it, I did think to myself, can he do better than them? But I also think it's in London, and I know he's a London boy, and I
yeah,
know that if he went there, he'd be really loved by the fans because I could just imagine him scoring so many goals each week.
yeah.
So I think as well, it wouldn't necessarily be a step down. It just might being at this moment in time. He needs that game time as well. He's had injuries as well, and that's sort of tough as well because I know as a club Partey's injured a lot, Zinchenko, so it's hard dealing with these players. I mean, if we can get money for Smith Rowe or if he goes on loan, I think that would be an option to definitely consider. I mean, Partey's another one. When I speak to fans, I always ask them, would you want to keep him? Would you sell him? I think I'm at the stage where I don't know how much money would get for him though, but I think I'd be open to selling him because I think when he's playing and he's at his best, I think he's one of the best players to watch in
Oh,
that field
absolutely.
in the league. But then when he's not at his best, it's I just want him off the pitch. Like it's so tough. There's no in between. He's either really good or really poor. Like how do you feel about him and his future at Arsenal?
To be honest, I just love him. I love Thomas Partey as a player. I think um, not very much last season, but the last season in which we actually challenged for the first time and we kind of fizzled out at the end. We couldn't cope up against Tottenham and we kind of
Yeah,
fell through after that. What a season Thomas Partey had. I mean, he's such a good player. He has the physicality. He can take the ball from the defense and he can just roll it on to the wingers. He has such a good eye for pass. I don't think many players can do that. And when he's playing, Declan Rice looks like a different player altogether, right? I don't know
yeah,
if you have seen that, right? So Declan Rice trusts Thomas Partey so much that he can have a free role and actually score a lot of goals. But yeah, unfortunately, very much like Abu Dhabi, which I named earlier, he has had an injury struck season,
yeah,
an injury led career, I would say. From the time he has been in Arsenal, he has never played regularly. I think the last season was the most which we have seen him consistently, and we have seen what a player he is. But I think as much as I like him, I didn't want him to be sold last year. I
mm,
still thought he could bring in things to the table, which he kind of did at the end of the season. But at this moment of time, I would move on from him because he's also
yeah,
aging. I think this is the last contract which he can get, and this is the last opportunity for Arsenal to also get some money for him, right? I would really love an Andre Onana from Everton to replace him. I think he's a beast of a player. I think we are linked to him. 50 million is
yeah.
the
I
asking
like him.
price.
He's a good player.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I would sell Thomas Partey now.
Yeah, I think when I saw the last few games of the season, I just felt like he was quite poor. I know he's had injuries and that it does
Yeah,
affect you because he's not had a lot of time to get back into things. But I just think every season he's amazing and I do love him and I think he's going to be hard to replace. But
yeah,
I think the injuries, he's like almost injured half of the season and it's not really going to help us because I think, Rice, if he gets injured, like we're in trouble a bit. So I think if we have Partey that's fit, it helps us out. I know Partey and Rice playing together as well was a dream, but I don't know. I don't know if he would run his contract down because I think he might have a year left or so. So I don't know really. I would say I'm open to both really. Like I'd be happy to have him, but then if we could get a bit of money for him, like I don't know how much we would get though because with his being injury, like would he go to
yeah.
like, Saudi? Like, I don't know which team he would go to be honest.
Yeah, it has to be Saudi or I think Juventus were linked to him earlier. Anything around 25, 20 million for Party, I would take it as of now because again, injury-led season, you don't know what you're gonna get with him in terms of injuries is gonna be available, and he misses crucial games, right? Where we need him when you're out for half of the season. It's really difficult to defend your case in a team, right? And in Arsenal, especially where every player has a role, which Arteta has kind of defined, we really miss him. It's very much like a Jack Wilshere situation where we used to love Jack and wanted him to play every week, but just because of injuries,
You
we
couldn't,
just couldn't
yeah.
we just couldn't watch him enough. So yeah,
Yeah, injuries like it makes it does play a massive part on your career because, like you said with Jack Wilshere, like it's such a shame. Like, what if we
yeah,
know he could have been. I kind of do see him as a legend in a way for his love of Arsenal and what he did for us, and it's a shame because there's so many players like I mean Smith. I remember that with COVID that time
mm,
when we played Spurs, like he's just such an amazing player. But it's hard when you face injuries because there's not much you can do about it. I
yeah,
mean, it's so tough as well because I know Zinchenko is someone as well. Jesus, like I think it's
mm,
affected Jesus. I think he's a player that I do like, but I think this season, I think you're starting to see why he's coming off the bench. I think
yeah.
it's a shame. I wanted to work with him, but I just don't know. Like in the summer, would you give him another chance? Would you see him more as a bench player, or do you think now would be the time to move him on?
Yeah, as I mentioned, so when we signed Zinchenko, when we signed Jesus, right? So I was very optimistic because these are quality players coming from a quality side. But now you know why Pep let go of them, right? So Pep is a genius in many things. He's just not on the field, but he's also very smart with his transfers. He is gonna give you players who he thinks are not good, right, or not up to the level. And if Pep doesn't think you're up to the level, there is something really wrong. And we are
Yeah,
kind of competing with City and his team, right? So I completely understand why Arteta is not playing them as first choice. So I would be definitely be interested in moving him on, because at this moment where we are trying to challenge for the bigger prizes, I don't think we have any room to have players who are
yeah,
not cut out for what we are looking at, right? So Arteta is ruthless, and we need to be ruthless, right? So to
yeah.
get on to achieve bigger things. So yeah, Zinchenko, Jesus, I loved him when we signed them, but I think if we get a good price, we should move on.
I remember when I think it was a few seasons back. I think Zinchenko was quite a fan favorite. I think he was.
Yeah.
I think he I think because of the season that he's had, I think when he's defensively poor and attacking wise, he doesn't do much. I think that's what the problem is because we've always known defensively he does struggle. But I know when he's playing and he's, scoring and he is a really good player when he's attacking. But because we didn't see that as much last season, I think
Hmm.
that's why a lot of fans are kind of like, to be honest, I really loved him, and we did as Arsenal fans, but like connection with him. I think he's very passionate, and he was just a great guy. But I think now, like
Yeah.
if we sold him, I'd feel like maybe that's the right thing to do because I think he is struggling at the moment. Like I think. We don't really see him play left back anymore. We don't really see him on the pitch, and I think that's fair enough because I know when he has played, he has been a bit poor, and I think because of the games we've had to win each game to try and win the league. So it wouldn't really be wise to like risk anything. So I think with that, I think Arteta's done the right thing. But I think it's a shame if he does leave and it could have worked out because I do think he was a really good player. Like
Yeah.
Tierney's obviously probably going to leave Arsenal, so he's
Yeah.
took his place and he's obviously going to leave too. So, but yeah, I think with Tierney, I think a lot of fans feel like that ship has sailed and we
Hmm.
probably I think we're going to sell him. I think 10 million. Maybe he might go back to Celtic. I don't know, but
Okay.
I just don't know. Like, there's a part of me that just really wants it to work with him, and then there's a part of me that thinks if it would have worked, it would have by now. So, how do you feel about that situation with him?
Oh, it's very sad. Like Kieran Tierney came up with so much promise. We bought him from 25 million. He did have a great start, but again, a couple of injuries here and there, not great form coming back, and then Arteta took the decision that no, we need to move on. Got in players like Tomiyasu. We have Timber now playing in left back. We have Zinchenko. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's very very sad because I really thought Tierney was a great prospect for us, and we got him at a great price. Many people even thought he would be our captain, right?
yeah, I did as well. Yeah, to be
He has that attitude. Even I thought so, but yeah, that ship has completely sailed. But I would say 10 million would be very less for the talent he has. You
yeah,
know?
it's a bit low, isn't it?
Yeah,
Considering like what a player he is, especially for Scotland as well. Like he's a
absolutely.
really good player for his country. I think like I just like you say, I don't think he would be a starter if he came back because I think
Yeah,
Timber, I see Timber as our future really at that in that position. Tomiyasu as well. I think Tomiyasu is definitely maybe not a start every day, every game, but I think he's someone that is quite you can
solid.
rely on
Yeah,
him. Yeah, when he's not injured, I think he's quite reliable, and he always puts in solid performances. So I think with
he's very
Tien,
much like a Nacho Monreal. You remember him?
yeah, yeah,
You
he was
always
so
get a seven
quick.
or eight. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think yeah, Tomiyasu is just like one of those players that will always give you like an 8 out of 10
yeah,
performance week in. Yeah, I remember when we first signed Tomiyasu, I literally did not know anything about him, and
yeah. Me
I,
too.
I was like wowed by him. Like I think that signing for me is going to be one of Arteta's best. I mean, Gabriel obviously has been amazing, but I think Tomiyasu is. Yeah, he is so underrated. I think it's great to look back as well because we've had so many amazing signings. I mean, it's still for me. I always say, it still doesn't feel real that Declan Rice is Arsenal because he's such an incredible player. And for you, throughout the season, which player for you would you say has stood out to you the most?
Oh, many actually. I mean, the last season, I think we have had a few players who have done really, really well for us,
Yeah,
and they were so dependable for every game. Any bad game or any 5 out of 6 out of 10 was a really big surprise for me, right? So, first of all, a couple of names which I would take is Declan Rice for sure, because whenever he plays in that midfield, it's kind of assured, right? You're not gonna go past him. He's going to log that midfield. He has been an excellent signing, and he is just he was kind of a missing puzzle piece, right?
yeah,
He has just been such a great signing, a revolution, and he has just brought all his West Ham experience and the leadership experience perfectly into Arsenal. And when you just hear him speak about the club, hear him how he enjoys playing for Arsenal. That's so good to see. You always want happy players to be at the club, and
yeah,
he certainly feels one of those. Martin Odegaard, the way he has played last season, captaining the side, tearing up defenses with his meticulous passing. I think some of the balls which he has spreaded this season was
yeah,
amazing. I think that was great to see. And behind, obviously, we had Saliba and Gabriel. I think they had solid seasons. Saliba gets all the praise, but I
yeah,
think Gabriel for me has had an outstanding season. We not many people talk about him. Obviously, he's the underrated in the pair which we have. But yeah, Gabriel, another player which I never heard of before he joined Arsenal.
yeah. I didn't
Uh,
really.
yeah, so yeah, really, really happy. I hope I think he's in the Brazil squad,
Yeah,
and hope he gets onto the pitch and gets a, I mean, gets a good experience in the Copa America. I think this would be his first major exposure of that.
yeah. I think. Well, I've always said the player, throughout the season, I think Declan Rice is like
Yeah,
my number one that I've really enjoyed. But I just feel like you said with Gabriella, I just think and we know Saliba gets that credit, but
yeah,
I just think Gabriella's gone to a different level, throughout the season. I think
absolutely.
playing with Saliba, it definitely helps him. I think having when you play with really world class defenders, it will make you better because I know there were times where Gabrielle would play with players at a club, maybe like a Mustafi, and we knew that we had to move him on, and that didn't help
Mm,
Gabrielle. So I feel like by Gabrielle playing with players that are playing at the high level, it definitely has helped him. But I think individually, I think he is just such an amazing player to watch
yeah,
and to witness. I mean, I do think one day could be a captain if he ever wanted to, because I think you can see he's got that leadership qualities. I just think from the back, I love how much passion he has. I just think he's a very likable player.
yeah.
Also as
Love it.
well. Yeah, I think we all love him, don't we? I think he's done amazing. And someone else actually that I've really started to like even more recently is Ben White. I think
Mm,
when we first signed him, I think there was a lot of criticism because I mean I wasn't bothered how much we paid for him, to be honest, but I think for me he has been incredible. I think the season though, I think he's getting better every game. I think you can really see how in that performance he's very
yeah,
consistent. I think he's a bit, like you mentioned with Tomiyasu, he's very solid. I think the same with Ben White. I think with Ben White, you know what to expect from him. Like
yeah.
each game, he give you that solid performance, won't he?
Absolutely. I mean, such a calming influence in our defense. I mean, Ben White, Saliba, similar players have a very calm attitude, and they are so good on the ball. They always have time whenever you pass it to them, and they always find the right pass. And Ben White also helps Saka in the overlapping runs, does a nice crossing here and there, and he gives out a very, very less mistakes. He doesn't have a lot of mistakes in his game,
Yeah,
right? So he has been great. I think, yeah, people are there to critique. You can always talk about price tags, 50 million too
yeah,
much for him, but all those criticism has gone completely. They have evaporated. We don't listen to anything of that. It's a pity that he doesn't play for England because of the pitch issues, but
yeah. It's a
I,
shame. Yeah,
I certainly love him as a player. He's such an honest guy. loves paying for the Arsenal, and yeah, right back position completely sealed by Ben White.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I remember not long ago people were debating like how can Saliba and Ben White fit in the team together, and we can
Mm.
like you
Yeah,
see it now. And I wouldn't ever want to change like the back
no,
four. I know the left back position is a bit. I know we've seen Kivior, Tomiyasu, but I think we know Timber will probably play whenever he can, and Tomiyasu can always step up when he needs to. But I think with Ben White, like we said, he's so consistent, and I think with England, like I would like to see him play for England because I want others to appreciate how good he is. But I think at the same time, if he's not happy and he wants to do what makes him happy, then I think it's not a bad thing him having the rest of summer
no,
and
yeah.
get fit. It's the same with like Saka and Declan Rice. I don't want them to get injured. I'm hoping for a successful summer, but I'm hoping that they can stay injury free throughout that tournament. So yeah, it feels like a good time to end this as a positive note because it. I feel like talking about Arsenal at the moment, it feels good. I mean, I'm hoping
Mm.
very soon. We're going to bring in some signings. I don't know what to expect really because when I do these videos, we speak about who we want to sign, but it might be someone else we have no idea about.
Yeah, it's always like that, you know. I mean, there's always players who come in and join the club whom we have never heard of, but we as fans are responsible to support the decisions, right?
Yeah,
I always, in terms of transfers, I'm very open as a fan
mm,
because I know that the manager understands what he needs.
yeah,
There are many, there are very few players whom I disagreed with at the beginning when they came in, but that Kai Havertz was one of them, right? When we signed him for 65 million, I was like, nah, I think that's too much. Will he even give us any returns in terms of his gameplay? And if he's in midfield, I don't think he'll be really be effective.
yeah,
But he has been good. I really like him, and he has given us some hope in the center forwards position. But we still need strengthening there. So yeah, looking forward to the summer, the transfer window. Let's see whom we get. The links which whom we are kind of currently linked with the players whom we are right now look promising. At least the
yeah,
areas which Arsenal are looking at, that's what we need. The striker, the midfield position. I was seeing Douglas Lewis being linked. So yeah,
yeah.
good players. We just need that quality in, right? We cannot afford players coming in and not be at the level which we are trying to achieve. So yeah, looking forward. Let's hope for a good transfer window, and we move on to the next season.
Yeah, I think it's a really exciting time, especially with the transfer window. I think, like you mentioned, any of those players I would be happy with. I think at the moment I'm quite open minded, like we said
Yeah,
before, with how Edu and Arteta have handled the situations with who they brought in. Like I would say 9 out of 10 times the players do well. There's just the odd ones that haven't been able to kind of fit in, like Willian. And I just think it's going to be exciting summer ahead to see what happens. Fingers crossed next season as well. We'll bring back silverware. But thank you so much for coming on my
no
channel.
worries.
I've really enjoyed chat with you. It's been amazing to do it. We'll definitely have to do it again when we sign someone else. So thank you.
Absolutely, yeah. Looking forward. Again, thank you for the invite. It's been great talking all things Arsenal, and it's very refreshing, right? At the end of the day, when you can talk about the club
Yeah.
which you're passionate about, which you love for so long, and just 45 minutes just flew by. So yeah,
And
thanks
I
very
always
much.
say to people, it goes so fast when you're just chatting
Yeah,
about Arsenal. Like,
absolutely.
could do it all day. But thank you so much, and we'll definitely do this again. I hope you guys that are watching this back have really enjoyed watching this. And yeah, please don't forget to smash the like button, to do subscribe, and I will see you on my next video.
Thanks so